One morning, about 3 days into Passover, I decided to walk 12 miles from the small town I lived in Judea to Jerusalem. Some friends of mine told me a very famous person was going to be executed. So I set out early in the morning, and the first thing I saw when I looked up in the sky was what looked like a dragon. Amazingly enough, a dragon. I had heard about these things. I had never seen one before. But it was early morning. I hadn't had much sleep. I drank a lot the night before. Could have been a hallucination, could have been a portent of something that was about to come. Where I was going was to see the crucifixion of Jesus of Nazareth, a man who had developed quite a following and called himself the Son of Man, the Son of God. The morning was gorgeous. It wasn't quite morning. The stars were still out in the sky. The stars looked like dancers. It was beautiful, beyond belief. Everything seemed perfect. That dragon still disturbed me a bit, but everything else looked great. The terrain I was covering, I was taking a back road, so I was going to be going through forest, some desert, some reeds. Oh, yeah, I came to a forest. And I hadn't brought anything to eat with me, and I was already hungry. So I had heard there were mushrooms in this forest, and behind, right, that small tree to the left, I found some. And I had about 7, 8, 9, 10, I don't know. I ate enough till I felt satiated, but about 45 minutes after eating them, I sat down for rest, by the way. My body began to tingle, and as the sun began to rise, my senses became extremely acute. I mean, I know I had already seen a dragon, but now I started seeing things like this sunrise. It looked like a billion shreds of glass splintering across the sky. And the way the sun shone on those reeds, the sky was like nothing I'd seen. Splinters of glass, crystallized. And there's the shine of the sun on the reeds. And as I walked through those reeds, they crunched, they crackled. I could feel each twig snap. It resonated in my ears like nothing I had ever heard. It was almost like a vibration. My senses had never been more acute. I went out, I touched a branch, and I could feel the life of that tree that branch belonged to. I felt its droughts, I felt its fires, I felt its rainy seasons. It seemed like I felt what that tree had been through. Oh, I took the back roads, but I did meet some other guys and women going to this crucifixion. They're a jovial group. They had been to these things before. They enjoyed them. Public entertainment. But this one was particularly important one because of this Jesus Christ of Nazareth, who somebody was calling the King of Jews. I think it was Pontius Pilate, maybe King Herod. I think it was Pilate. Yeah, it was Pontius Pilate. Calling himself King of Jews was going to be crucified that day. And that's why I was headed there too, I have to admit. Even though I did feel a little superior to these people, because I didn't think I was as sadistic as they were. Evidently they had been to many of these things before, enjoyed them, took the kids. Oh, these three guys were three Persian mystics, and they told me that they had been to the birth of Jesus Christ, the man who was being crucified that day. They had followed a star where he was being born in Bethlehem 33 years ago. And they heard he is going to be a very special child. A king of peace, something like that. So they brought him, when he was born, some very expensive gifts. Frankincense, gold, myrrh, stuff like that. But they were somber today because they were very sad. They knew about his crucifixion. That's what they were going to witness. Well, this is done in watercolor, by the way. Most the other in fact, all the other drawings in this little journal I kept on the way were done in marker, prismatic color. It was available 2,000 years ago. So these guys were somber. They didn't talk much. Very intelligent men. Ever since the destruction of Jerusalem in 568 BC, I'll get back to that. I came to this mound, and on this mound was a cross. Now, I had heard Christ was going to be crucified on a desolate mountain shaped like a skull called Mount Calvary, I think. And this looked nothing like this. This is just a single cross on a little mound with a trail leading up to it. Those mushrooms are still affecting me, I think, because everything looked strange. And I kept walking up to that mound and looking around, and I'd walk up to the cross and feel it, and it was all splintery and wooden. I couldn't imagine being nailed on it and taking hours, days to die. Besides, as I said, aqueducts and bridges, the Romans were masters of torture. And this is certainly one of the best ways ever invented. If you didn't die after 2 days, they usually came and broke your legs, hastened the process. But it was done in full public, so you were humiliated. But this wasn't the place I was supposed to be. I heard Christ was going to be crucified on a forbidding mountain, desolate mountain called Mount Calvary, shaped like a skull. So I met up with somebody and I asked him the way, and he said it was about 2 miles west of where I was, so reluctantly I set off in that direction. But I just couldn't leave. It was just mesmerizing what I was looking at. I later talked to John, the guy who wrote Revelations, John of Pathios. He said he had eaten. There, I came to Mount Calvary. That's Jesus Christ in the middle. There's a sign above him that says King of the Jews. I think Pontius Pilate put that up. He's between two common criminals. He tells one of them, believe in me, and you shall have live forever life forever, something like that. Repent. There he is. There's Christ. He's bleeding. He'd been poked by a Roman soldier. He's wearing a very expensive purple cloak, and those Roman soldiers are playing dice for that purple cloak so they can strip it from him when he dies. I felt, after he died, strangely relieved, redeemed, like I'd never felt before. I felt like there was hope. I felt like there was life after death. I talked to other people who had talked to Christ, witnessed to Christ, and I believed them. So, believe it or not, I converted to Christianity, and I've been one ever since. Believe it or not. The end.